My sister lied to my parents for years. And I finally exposed her. I always thought I knew my sister. We grew up in the same house, shared bedrooms, whispered secrets at night, and promised we'd always have each other's backs. I trusted her completely, more than anyone else. But when I moved back home after college, things started feeling off. At first, it was subtle. My parents were always more lenient with her, defending her when she clearly made mistakes, praising her achievements even when I knew the truth. I told myself it was just sibling favoritism, or maybe I was imagining things. Then I started noticing little inconsistencies. A story she told about school that didn't match the timeline. A casual remark about money that didn't add up. I chalked it up to memory lapses, until one night, by accident, I saw her phone. She had left it unlocked on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping, I swear, I just glanced because I wanted to check a text for myself, and there it was. Text spanning years, carefully crafted lies to our parents. She had been manipulating their perception of her entire life, grades she never earned, problems she didn't actually solve, boyfriends and friendships she fabricated. She had created a completely separate reality that everyone around her believed, including our parents. I felt frozen. I couldn't breathe. My stomach twisted into knots, and I stared at her phone like it was a crime scene. She had been controlling our parents for years, making them worry, making them give her money, making them defend her unconditionally while I had always felt like the responsible one who had to earn every bit of trust. It was terrifying to realize someone you grew up with could build a lie so perfectly, one that everyone else would accept without question. I tried to confront her quietly. I waited until she was sitting on her bed, scrolling through her phone, thinking I wouldn't notice. "Why would you do this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. She looked up at me, smirked, and said plainly, almost casually, because they'd never notice otherwise. "They love me too much to see the truth." I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But instead, I sat there and absorbed it. Her words chilled me to the bone. She had planned this, maintained it, and thrived on the fact that no one would suspect her. I realized that if I did nothing, this lie would continue, maybe forever. I had to act, but carefully. I started documenting everything. Screenshots, dates, inconsistencies. I compiled years of lies, from small exaggerations to massive manipulations that changed the way our parents behaved around her. Every message, every fabricated story, every little secret she twisted, I saved it. It felt invasive, but it was necessary. I couldn't let her keep rewriting reality while I stayed silent. The next few weeks were excruciating. I had to act like everything was normal, smiling at family dinners, pretending nothing had changed while quietly gathering proof. She noticed me taking more interest in her phone, checking notes, comparing stories, and I saw a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. But I stayed calm. I couldn't let her know I knew the full extent of what she had done. Finally, I went to my parents. I laid everything out, screenshots, timelines, contradictions, undeniable evidence. I watched their faces change with every detail I revealed. Shock, disbelief, hurt, anger, it was all there. And when they finally realized the truth, I saw something in their eyes I hadn't seen in years, clarity. They were no longer blinded by favoritism or the charm my sister had perfected. My sister, of course, had no excuse left. She tried to explain a few times, but it was clear even to her that the game was over. I don't think she realized how much damage her lies had caused, not just to our parents' trust, but to the relationships in our family. The trust between us had been fractured for years, but at least now the truth was out. The aftermath was messy. Our family dynamics shifted in ways I couldn't have anticipated. My parents were angry and hurt, not just at my sister, but at themselves for being deceived. They started asking questions they had never asked before, and slowly, our household changed. I felt a mix of relief, guilt, and sadness. Relief because the lies were gone. Guilt because exposing her felt like betrayal, even though it wasn't. Sadness because someone I loved so deeply had chosen deceit over honesty for so long. It took months to rebuild trust, not just with my parents, but with myself. I had to learn to pay attention, to trust my instincts, to notice the little things that reveal bigger truths. I learned that someone can smile at you every day, speak words of love, and still manipulate an entire family behind your back. I also learned that courage isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quietly gathering proof, staying calm, and waiting for the right moment to act. Even now, years later, I think about those months constantly. I think about the nights I stayed awake, documenting lies, worrying about whether my parents would believe me. I think about the conversations I'll never forget, the shock and pain on their faces, the silence that followed. And I think about my sister, how she could maintain a facade so convincingly, and how easily someone you trust could rewrite reality around them. But in the end, honesty won. The lies are gone. Our parents no longer blindly believe her stories, and I finally see the truth clearly. It was painful, humiliating, and exhausting, but it saved me from living in a household built on deception. And I hope anyone listening to my story remembers this: the smallest inconsistencies, the subtle changes, the unexplained secrets, those are rarely harmless. Pay attention. Trust your instincts. And never let someone manipulate the truth without being held accountable.